Good morning, televiewers on my Media Prime Television. You're on to your favorite bilingual program, The Brief, which is always dedicated to the review of striking headlines in the papers. On today's edition of the program, the newspapers are focusing on the arrest of Muslim scholar Abdul Karim. Abdul Karim was reportedly arrested on August 11, 2022 in Bamenda, as the newspapers are telling us. We shall dwell on that and talking about the Anglophone crisis and what is happening in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Talking Islamic Solidarity Games, Cameroon backs 14 medals, as the newspaper tells us this morning. And yesterday at the Star Building, there was a guest at the Star Building to talk nuclear issues with Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Dion-Ngote. We shall dwell more on those headlines as captured by newspapers this morning. Etape Quentin is here with me this morning. Let's have the headlines in the French language newspapers. Bonjour Etape.
Bonjour Lasha. Alors bonjour à tous les téléspectateurs, bonjour à tous et à toutes. Bienvenue dans ce programme bilingue de revue de presse dans Débrief, édition de ce 19 août 2022 sur ma Media Prime TV. La presse est abondante. On va parler de la révocation de plus de 500 militaires ou bien d'hommes armés qui sont accusés d'utiliser les faux diplômes. En tout cas, c'est d'ailleurs l'information que le journal, le tri-hebdomadaire, le soir, que nous propose aujourd'hui en sa grande une. Le journal titre « Urgence de résurrection des valeurs au Cameroun, des leçons du coup de canon du guerrier Joseph Betty à Saumon ». Et bien plus loin, le journal nous fait savoir que les faux diplômes expulsés de l'armée patriotique, les faux teints, cheveux, ongles et humiliés en mondovision, les faux médecins et le processus de déstabilisation du patrimoine alimentaire africain, les fausses célébrations à l'issue du pardon présidentiel. Alors, on poursuit avec le journal Éco-Santé, le quotidien qui nous parle justement de la santé. Programmation nationale de lutte contre la mortalité maternelle et infanto-juvénile. Dr Anissé Désiré Mintop est le nouveau secrétaire technique du programme multisectoriel. Plus loin, dans le journal en page 4, nos confrères nous font savoir que il a été nommé par le ministre de la Santé publique, Dr Madaouda Malachi, le 16 août 2022. Le natif de Domantan, dans la région de l'Est, va planifier, coordonner et exécuter les activités relatives à la rééducation de la mortalité, à la réduction de la mortalité maternelle, néonatale et infantano-juvénile. Eh bien, on poursuit avec Eco News qui nous parle du secteur de l'éducation et de la formation. La SND 30 darde ses rayons. C'est du moins ce que le journal nous propose à sa grande une ce matin. Si l'on s'en tient aux explications, la revue de la mise en œuvre de la stratégie nationale de développement SND 30 du secteur de l'éducation et de la formation professionnelle s'est tenue hier autour du ministre de l'économie, de la planification et de l'aménagement du territoire. En termes de bilan, les ressources allouées à l'éducation et à la formation représentent 12% au lieu des 20% recommandés par la communauté internationale. Une information à retrouver dans les colonnes de ce journal en kiosque matin à la page 5. Et puis terminons avec Info Matin qui nous renvoie à l'éducation et titre à sa grande une: performance, l'université de Yaoundé 1 parmi les meilleurs du monde. Cet établissement public de l'enseignement supérieur du Cameroun, pays de Paul Biya, est le seul d'Afrique subsaharienne francophone à avoir été sélectionné et occupe désormais la 31e place sur les 66 au ranking africain et le 940e mondial sur plus de 1750 universités dans le classement 2022 du magazine américain US News World Report. Un autre espoir réalisé grâce à la négociations avec Maitre du recteur Maurice Aurélien Soso, qui, depuis sa nomination en 2012 par le chef de l'État, n'arrête plus de travailler, non sans ramener l'orthodoxie sur tous les plans au sein de la mère des universités. Une information que vous verrez en page 3 de ce journal en kiosque ce matin. Fin et stop pour la lecture des titres en langue française. Place actuellement à la découverte des autres unes en anglais avec toi, Lasha. Good morning once more again.
Good morning, Etape, Quentin. Good morning to you, televiewers of My Media Prime Television. Let's kickstart this morning with the Lone English Daily, the Guardian Post newspaper. The Guardian Post this morning is focusing on terrorism charges which dangles of the arrested activist Abdul Karim. The paper tells us government dangles terrorism charges over arrested Anglophone activist Abdul Karim. And international rights organization Human Rights Watch has in a report called on the Yaoundé to respect the rights of detained Bamenda-based Anglophone activist Abdul Karim Ali. According to the organization, government is dangling terrorism charges over him. The report was published August 16, 2022 by senior Central African researcher at Human Rights Hilaria Alegrozi. As the paper tells us, Human Rights Watch stated that the activist was arrested August 11 by soldiers in the Ntamulung neighborhood in Bamenda in the restive northwest region of the country and taken to local gendarmerie station. The rights organization said Abdul Karim was held incommunicado and denied access to his family members till August 13 when he was allowed to see his wife following a sustained pressure from his lawyers. More details in this edition of the Guardian Posted newspaper. Let's talk about this report that was published recently by the Minister of Public Health of the country, which reviews that Cameroon records 15,000 HIV infections yearly. You can read more in this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. And the Guardian Post is also telling us that a military amber clash in Akwaya reportedly leaves 3 dead and several injured. As the paper tells us, at least 3 persons are feared dead and several others injured following a report clash between soldiers and gunmen believed to be Ambazonia separatist fighters. The incident took place in Akwaya subdivision in the restive southwest region of the country recently. More details on page 4 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. On to municipal updates. Municipal update is focusing this morning on the Bilingualism Commission. Bilingualism Commission, Jean-Marc Mbafo launches Make Bamenda Boya Great Again project. The project was launched in the southwest region of the country. That was over the weekend, as the paper tells us. You can read more in this edition of Municipal Updates newspaper. On to Cameroon Tribune. The National Bilingual Daily is focusing on back-to-school preparations as for 2022-2023 academic year. The paper tells us parents have already begun preparing for their kids to go back to school, and all attention now is geared towards the financing of or the financing of school of their kids. As we are told, parents have already begun buying books for their kids as well as paying school fees. More details on page 9 of this edition of the report that was published, or the investigative report on preparation or back-to-school preparation that was done by Cameroon Tribune. We continue talking other issues, this time around bridging Africa's energy gap, exploring nuclear possibilities. We are told that the Prime Minister had a guest yesterday at the Star Building, and how such an option could help the continent and what needs to be put in place were subjects of discussion yesterday, August 18, 2022, between Prime Minister Joseph Diongute and Dr. Enobot Abore at the Star Building. The Executive Secretary of the African Commission on Nuclear Energy at African Union was guest of Prime Minister yesterday at the Star Building. Let's talk Islamic Solidarity Games. This morning, Cameroon backs 14 medals. The country, according to the paper, recorded her best performance thus far in the games with 2 goals, 6 silver and 6 bronze medals. The closing ceremony took place in Konya, Turkey yesterday, August 18, 2022, with Cameroon taking the relay baton to host the next edition in 2025. More details in this edition of the National Bilingual Daily Cameroon Tribune. We are back in the studio to continue with our discussions this morning. And of course, we are welcoming our guest or our resource person who is always with us on the line to the UK. Maitre Alex Ndive, you are the leader of British Cameroon National Party, and you're equally a constitutional law expert, and you are joining us this morning to talk some of the burning issues. We begin, Maitre Alex, with the arrest of the Muslim or Islamic scholar Abdul Karim, who was arrested by soldiers in Bamenda.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha. Good morning, Mr. Etape. Good morning to your entire team, and good morning to the beautiful people of the Cameroon. Usually, I don't like to comment on individual cases, but however, part of the problem we have in Cameroon, why is the French system criminal justice, is because it is unfair. Justice must be seen to be done. I understand Mr. Abdul Karim was arrested and was kept incommunicado, means he did not have the right to see a lawyer or a legal advisor. That is wrong. Justice must be seen to be done for the people of the Cameroon. Justice is done in the name of the people. And if you keep somebody, you detain somebody, we don't know the reason. That's not justice. It's not fair. And
no,
it's
terrorism charges is what government is bringing forth on Abdul Karim. Some of his videos and outings are the reasons why he was arrested. Some of his utterances, what he used to say. Yes, concerning the Anglophone crisis.
If it was in an English system, the case would have been thrown out of court. Why? Because there is a procedure, criminal procedure, police and criminal evidence act in this country, which that's what we were using in former Southern Cameroon. When you arrest somebody, you have to arrest somebody, you have to caution the person, you have to warn the person. Caution is you have to tell the person you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say might be used in front of the court, or what you do not say, they can draw inference. There's a procedure. Then you have to detain the person or release the person. There have to be an investigation. There have to be a trial. There have to be a pre-trial proceeding. There have to be trial procedure and a judgment. So those things need to be known by the public.
But there's also what you call police custody now, Maitre. Where you keep somebody for investigation. And
but listen,
yes.
There are two things. And I don't understand in Cameroon, waiting, there's something we call in Cameroon waiting trial. You could be on waiting trial for 5 years or 10 years. There are two things. You have to keep a person within 24 hours. Either you charge the person or you release the person. Charge means then you can either bail the person or you can detain the person if you know that the person
Maitre, I don't know if you've had the opportunity or time to read the 2014 terrorism law, what the law says, what that law means. When people are being suspected of having, committed such crime, I hope you know what that means.
Listen, what is terrorism? What is terrorism? Terrorism doesn't mean you go and bomb the World Trade Center. Terrorism simply means you are using unlawful violence. There's a law. Cameroon have got laws. If you use violence that the law does not permit you, then there is what? Political objective. That's when it's a terrorist act. Usually, terrorism is a criminal offense. It only becomes terrorism when you have a political aim or motive. That's when it becomes terrorism. So we should not think that terrorism is different from other criminal activities. So there is a criminal procedure in Cameroon. Unfortunately, the government doesn't follow it. You cannot arrest somebody and try the person when there is no independent lawyer or legal representative. He was kept incommunicado, reaching the laws of the Cameroons already. So that's what they did. And what the government did is wrong. That's not the only case. Sometimes they keep you in detention, waiting trial for 5 years. That 5 year was in the UK. That's 10 years imprisonment because you serve half of your prison term. So all this waiting trial, justice must be seen to be done. Our people must know what is going. They have to tell the public what they are charging him. When you say terrorism charge or what, we don't know. I don't know what he said recently, however.
Maitre, I was about asking you, because Human Rights Watch qualify Abdul Karim as an activist, an Anglophone activist. I don't know if you have had the opportunity to watch some of his videos, his outings, and what he says. Is it how activism is supposed to be carried out, inciting violence? How does it link? How does it match up with activism?
Listen, I can't really comment because I haven't watched his video. But however, activism is very simple. Somebody or political change, that's activism. That's the simplest definition.
Even using a violent means. Even using a violent means.
If you can quote one of the statement or what he said, then maybe I can proceed from there. I don't know what he said. I don't know whether I can quantify it to be exciting violence or whatsoever. We know a lot of people in the Cameroons, government people, government officials, government be inciting violence, kicking people, assaulting them. Nothing is happening. Justice should be for everybody, not for one side. We don't want double standard in the Cameroons. If you can tell me what Mr. Abdul Karim said, maybe I can elucidate on that.
Okay.
Le ministre de la Défense a renvoyé quelques hommes en tenue et pour cause, ils sont acculés de faux diplômes. Quelle est votre analyse?
My analysis is that Mr. Betty Asomo should be sacked as Minister of Defense because you don't bring people who are threat in our country, the Cameroons. You don't admit them. They are already in the military. You have to vet them. The military is a very sensitive part. You can bring people who are Boko Haram or terrorists, you bring them in, then later on you discover it. So what he has made is a big mistake that I will be calling that he should be sacked. That tells you that he is not fit to be a minister of defense.
Maitre Alex, to the best of my understanding, it is not Betty Asomo who issues certificate, and there's somebody who is in charge of verifying those certificates to be sure that they are authentic. So how come is Betty Asomo to be blamed?
In English, Mr. Lasha, they say the buck stops with the boss. He's the boss. If you delegate people, you give people who are doing it, the boss is only in Cameroon that the bosses, they don't accept certain things. You see, Mr. Biya is the head of state of Cameroon. He keep on appointing people who embezzle money. And at the end of the day, in the Western world, in the UK, they will say, that person have not got a sense of judgment to make the right decision. That's why he's appointing those type of people. The buck stops with the leader. It doesn't stop with the person who makes the error.
Voilà, c'est plus de 500 hommes en tenue qui ont été révoqués. Eh bien, est-ce que ces hommes en tenue ne constituent pas un danger pour la société? Est-ce qu'il fallait seulement les chasser parce qu'ils sont inculpés dans une affaire de faux diplômes?
I think what they did is a criminal offense to falsify a certificate. And to be honest, we know that it happens all over the world. It happens in the Western country. People have fake certificate. So that's why I'm saying, when people bring certificate in front of you, you should make sure you know if that certificate are fraud. And I don't want to dwell on conjunction on this your program. How do we know if some of those people were employed, their relative asked them to do those certificates? Because you know what happens when it comes to employment in Cameroon. I don't believe those people, they did it on their own. And the number is so much that it's something
that's a question that Etape asked, that are these people not constituting a major danger or threat to the society, just sacking them without probably arresting them to lock them up?
Mr. Lasha, I made this clear the other time on this your same program that these people is a criminal offense. They should be arrested. They should be investigated. It's a criminal offense to falsify a certificate. And also they should try to find out where those certificates are coming from. It's not just about saying that, oh, we have sacked them. That's not good enough. And the way they are taking it lightly, I believe, some of the people who employ those people, maybe they are relatives. just believe, if you read in between the line, these people have committed a criminal offense. It should not end there. Their name should be published. The people public have the right to know about this. They shouldn't just serve them. It's not good enough because we should know who are the people manufacturing these fake certificates. It is very important.
Ces gendarmes ont été formés. Ils ont appris la technique, la façon de manipuler l'arme. On se pose la question aujourd'hui, en les renvoyant au quartier, est-ce que ça ne cause pas un problème? Est-ce que ces gens-là, pour vivre, ne vont pas se lancer dans les sales besoins pour mettre à mal la sécurité de la population? C'est la question qui se pose aujourd'hui.
I've just answered your question that these people are criminals, should be in prison. They shouldn't send them back to the streets. They have committed a criminal offense. Yes, they are innocent until proven guilty. They should give them bail. They should monitor their movement, and they should make sure they stand trial for what they have done, because we don't know the people who are penetrating our force. I say the Ministry of Defense is a very sensitive ministry, and we cannot take things lightly by just saying we have sacked them and everything is okay over. We don't know how many people are there. I know a lot of people in top office in Cameroon. I will not call names on this program. They are using false names. They are using false certificate. We all know. Even Mr. Bia knows the person, but nobody is saying anything.
Bon.
Because there are people there. Some of them are ministers.
So does it mean that fake certificates have been institutionalized in Cameroon? It is now an institution. We don't have any problem with that.
There is selective justice in Cameroon. As I say, I will not call the name, you might know. Mr. Bia knows. One of Mr. Bia's ministers is using fake name. He's using his brother's name. He's using his brother's certificate. It's Mr. Bia's minister. Everybody knows it. It's a fact. Why is he there? So there's double standard in Cameroon. I'm not supporting a negativity of any fact, but we know if you know somebody is using somebody's name, why can't you bring this to justice?
So, Alex, so what is the solution? Because we need a solution. We can't continue in this kind of system. What is important is a solution now. Because this deprives people.
It's a very, Mr. Lasha, it's very difficult when we have to find a solution, because the president of Cameroon, Mr. Bia, is 90 years old. He's an old man. Think about your grandfather or people who are 90 years old. Some people now are just using Mr. Bia as a trademark to run the country. If you have been following Mr. Bia for more than 40 years, the modus operandi, the way Mr. Bia acts, that's not how he does his things. You see his speech, that's not Mr. Bia's speech. You see the degree, presidential degree, that's not how Mr. Bia operates. Somebody else is working in Mr. Bia's shadow. And how do we change this? Mr. Lasha, it's a very difficult thing. It's up to the people of the Cameroons. It's up to you, Mr. Etape, and all of us to see how we can change our country. Because when you sit here and criticize and hold the government into account, I keep on saying it's not because we hate the government. It's because we want a government that cares for the people. It's because we want a government that develops our roads, hospital, and other things. If we have a government that when the government officials, they are sick, they come abroad for medical treatment, what example are they telling us? So it is a very difficult situation, but it's up to the people of the Cameroon.
Maitre, this brings us to a comment that one of the viewers made yesterday, after yesterday's program, talking about a constitutional expert who was brought on TV to petition Cameroon. Maybe you give a precision on that comment that the viewer made yesterday, talking about petitioning Cameroon on TV.
The problem is, I was on your program yesterday, Mr. Alex Ngepi was on your program. You see, when you talk with people who don't understand certain things, law, that's why I say in Western world, politics is being done by politicians with people with experience. I understand Mr. Ngepi was talking about federalism. Each time they keep on shaping the state of a country. Nigeria used to have 4 regions. You know how many states they have today. So I understand what Mr. Ngepi was saying. Africa was partitioned long ago in the Berlin Conference without our permission. That's when Africa was partitioned. And when people are talking about constitutional law and a CPDM apologies, somebody, a young person who doesn't understand his left and right, maybe because he's seeking for self-aggrandizement and to promote himself, I will call his name, it's called KT or what, I've been on a program with him. These are people who are destroying the country. People say people like Mr. Biya, they should give the youth a chance. Mr. Biya was young. Aicho was 33 years old when he was Prime Minister of the Republic of Cameroon. Muna Foncha, they were 28 to 33 years, young Philemon, they were young people who took over the country. They were the age of that guy. So when somebody at that age who have no ambition, who doesn't love his country, when we see people, the roads are bad, accident every day, people cannot pay medical bill, we sit here to advocate for better life for our people, we fight for Boya University, then you see a young man, because he's looking for a way for himself and only for him, he come and say they are trying to partition Cameroon. If he has got the guts, he should come to you on your program and face us rather than hiding inside the stomach to look for himself. It's this type of people that we should
Maitre, I've invited, he used to be here, but I've invited him for some times now. He's not coming on the program. So I would have loved him to come and maybe tell us what he thinks about what you guys said yesterday. I don't think it was about partitioning Cameroon. Maybe you were trying to give a history of Cameroon, what Cameroon used to be before the, you know, the separation and whatever stuff, Maitre Alex.
Yes, I made it clear that we were all Africans. We were not consulted before these countries were created in Africa. And in 1520, the Portuguese, they came there and created a plantation, sugar plant, and started slavery. How can you call it? It wasn't Cameroon. It was a slave country where people were exploiting the country. Then they handed it to what? The Dutch. They continued their slave plantation. Then the Germans, they came there again. Then after the French. So people for their interest. And people say we were one before. We were not one because we're Africans. What I mean in that sense, one Africa. There was no country. This country were created by the Western people. And that's what we are talking about. People say reunification. Reunification means that you're reuniting a political unit. That slave plantation, which Cameroonian or indigenous African was president in Rio dos Cameroons, in the Portuguese Cameroon, in the Pan Cameroon, in the French Cameroon, there was no indigenous African who was president there. So Cameroon have never been one that time. Cameroon became one when the same people under the UN, they bring these two, what they call the English trustee territory and the French territory. The English part voluntarily joined the French part. That's when we became a nation or a country. So we have never been before 1961. We're not a country or we're not a nation in that sense that we had a leader. Yes, in 1954, we had people like Endeli, who they were prime minister. You could start looking at it. That's when they were shaping the country. Aijo was prime minister in the French Cameroon at the age of 33. That's when we started shaping the country. But 1888, all those things, it was just a vast land in Africa. I see a lot of historians, they come and mislead the people on social media, on TV. They should be honest. There was no Cameroon in 1888. Some people came to create their slave plantation and they called it Rio dos Cameroon. That was not Cameroon. If I was a leader in Cameroon, I believe this slave name, all these Rio dos Cameroons, all these things, we should change it. We are not prawns. On a back river.
Okay. Maitre Alex, let's talk about this move that was carried out recently in Buea by Bilingualism Commissioner Jean-Marc Mbafo. He launched what he called Make Bamenda Buea Great Again project. That was in the southwest region of the country. When you watch some of the videos coming from that move that was launched in Buea, what caught your attention? Make Buea and Bamenda Great Again.
You see, people just love this slogan. Everybody have no scam the government and make money. People use slogan. When you say make Bamenda Buea great again, what are you insinuating? Okay, I might agree with him. Things have changed. Marketing board is gone. Tico International Airport is gone. Wada Womb is gone. A lot of things have been destroyed in Northwest and Southwest. So if he's talking about making it great again, fine. But I'm not a fan of slogan. When you are not in power, when you are not in office, when you are not a parliamentarian, when you are not a minister or a president of a country, all those things are just slogans. What you need to do is to galvanize yourself, make sure you have to become parliamentarian, takes lots of those things. You need power. Power. You don't just make slogans, one Cameroon, reference hospital in this side, one Cameroon. There's one Britain. That doesn't mean we don't have diversity. And make this great again. Are you imitating Donald Trump? American first, let's make America great again. People just copy all this, this copycat. I'm not part of all this copycat or what they do. So it's very important that we get to power. And at the moment, we are so confused because everybody just speaks. Yes, everybody can debate politics, that's good. But if you really want to do politics, you have to put yourself as a politician, as a parliamentarian, get a mandate, say what you want to do, let the people vote you. That there's a channel. If all of us will just speak on social media, this will go left. This will say, oh, 2-state federation, 10-state federation. If you ask them what's federalism, they don't even know the meaning. In the Western world, when people want to talk about certain things, they bring experts to talk about it. You don't just say, because everybody knows 2-state federalism, 10-state, it will not solve the problem. Nigeria have federalism. It is not solving Nigeria's problem. Federalism is focused on geographical location in Nigeria. What they need to do, like a country like Nigeria, they have the Igbos. The Igbos, they should be able to run themselves inside Nigeria like Scottish people. The Yoruba, they should be able to run themselves inside Nigeria. You focus it on all those ethnicity. That is how the Western country was constructed. Scottish people are running their things, English people running their things, Flemish people in Belgium running their things, German people speak the same language. So you don't take people with different diversity and different ethnicity and force them all that we are one and indivisible. No, we are different. And if we understand our differences, that's when we bring unity in the Cameroons.
Okay, Maitre, that's when you go ahead.
D'accord, Maître Alex. Eh bien, la revue de la mise en œuvre de la stratégie nationale de développement se tient autour de l'éducation et autour de la formation professionnelle depuis hier à Yaoundé. Et il en ressort de là, c'est un constat fait par nos confrères de EcoNews, que les ressources mises à la disposition de l'éducation et la formation sont estimées à 12% seulement, contrairement aux 20% dont recommande la communauté internationale. Est-ce qu'on peut dire aujourd'hui que l'éducation a mal? Secteur de l'éducation.
About that, what is given by the international community? I did not get the last bit, just the last bit of your question. Just the last. Read the last bit again.
D'accord. Est-ce qu'on peut dire aujourd'hui que l'éducation au Cameroun a mal à se développer, a mal à son épanouissement? Parce que là,
il y a seulement international community. That's the bit I want. The one about the international community.
Last part you talk about international
voilà.
Community.
Eh bien, l'éducation et la formation représentent 12% au lieu de 20% recommandés par la communauté internationale. Donc, voilà ce qui ressort de l'information.
I got your question clearly, but I'm not sure about the recommendation of international community. But what I will tell you is that the state of Cameroon is intervening in education too much. In UK, I always give my example and I love it. Why?
Oui.
Education is run by professionals. The state doesn't get involved. We have Minister, Secretary of State for Education. He doesn't involve. When you have professors and lecturers, they are the ones who control the university, they make the program. Unfortunately, in the Cameroons, there is Farm Dongo everywhere. Farm Dongo wants to tell you how to set examination question. Again, Cameroon can never move forward at the moment. Why? We still have those colonial educational system that France is no longer using. ENAM is part of our educational system. It was created by General Charles de Gaulle in 1945. They are no longer using it. We are still using it in Cameroon. École Normale Supérieure was created in France in 1794. We are still using it in Cameroon. You see, those are educational systems. We have to stop these things, this colonial education. If we don't stop it, we'll never move forward. You have to make sure that education should focus on something that when you finish your education, you can find a job. You don't just go, we keep on saying rentrée scolaire, rentrée scolaire. Yes, when they finish their school, what happens? There's no job. We cannot be training everyone to become a teacher. Why? What we need in Cameroon, we have to assess. We need a lot of engineers, people who will make sure that our wood they can turn it into the finished product. People who can do a lot of other technical things. We need technology. We need technical schools. We don't need all this education that everybody becomes a teacher. What are they teaching?
Maitre, if the industries are not there, so where would these people work? The engineers you are talking about, they need to work somewhere.
Engineers are the people who create the jobs. They will take your wood and turn it into sofas. They will start exporting things. They are engineers, they are the one who construct the road. They are engineers, the architect, they create jobs, engineers. They are the one who engineers are the most important backbone of every country. I don't know how many engineers we have. We keep on giving our contracts to develop the new port or what in Douala there is British company. So if we want to do deep sea port, it's foreign company. What were we doing with our scholarship? We sponsor a lot of people. We use taxpayers' money to sponsor a lot of Cameroonians to come and study here. The best brain, the brightest, most of them, they are here working for this Western country. How can an underdeveloped country like the Cameroon spend millions and millions of dollars to sponsor their own citizens only to work for Western people? Is that not stupidity? That's why I say the people
that's why I talked of the environment. I talked of the environment. If the enabling environment was there, these people would have come back home, Maitre Alex.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Why do you, if I'm using taxpayers' money to sponsor some of the brightest people in the Cameroon, if I'm using that money, what am I doing? I'm hoping that they should come back. So they have drained our most important people, the people who would have been constructing our country. You use taxpayers' money, a developing country, for them to come here. I'm not blaming the people. I'm blaming a government that had a project that had no plan. You're scared of the people that you use taxpayer money to train them abroad. You're scared that they should come back home and take your job. That is the problem. The government knows nothing. The government just have projects that they don't understand what they are doing. When you have a project, you have to know the end game. What do you want to achieve? What is your objective before you use taxpayers' money?
Yeah, Maitre Alex, we don't have energy in Cameroon with energy problem crisis. And yesterday, Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph Diongute received an important Cameroonian who is working at the level of the United Nations when it comes to nuclear issues, and the charted way forward of exploring nuclear possibilities in bringing or solving the energy equation in the country. You just said we don't have the engineers, and these are some of the best brains that we have. They are working for international organizations rather than coming back to develop their own countries.
In Cameroon, we cannot make even a spokes of a bicycle. We are talking about nuclear energy now. So I can still remember when I was a baby in Boya, they were singing Power Cam, they don't do wonders. Power Cam, they don't do wonders. We had electricity. What is happening now? We had it. I want us to go to the drawing board. When we have people who are deliberately destroying a country that was as good as what? I used to work as a baby. There were electricity in the street of Boya. So what is happening now? What are we doing? And fine, we are talking about somebody, a brain or what? I always say action out the way. You can come and meet the Prime Minister and talk. Do you know what it takes to make nuclear energy? Atom. Have we got those resources or whatsoever? We cannot make a spoke of a bicycle. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. The little things that we cannot do. Water is a natural thing. We cannot even make pipe to connect waters into our houses in Cameroon. Then you talk about nuclear energy. It is good to dream, but you should choose the type of dream that you want to dream. Before you walk, you must crawl. So we should be very careful. If you don't have a visit, yes, I praise the person, he comes and see the Prime Minister, so what? If he's a businessman, he should go to Ministry of Commerce and Industry and say, I have this project, I want to do nuclear energy. They give him permission.
No, he's the executive secretary of the African Commission on Nuclear Energy at the African Union.
Yeah, he's not a businessman. He is working for some people. Let me call it in quotes, a civil servant. So what's it? If you want to create nuclear energy, You go to people, they are Iranians there, they have done it for electricity. Go and see those people, meet business people, business angel, public partner, private to sponsor the project. That's what I want to hear. Don't go and sit on the sofa, you drink whiskey, you drink champagne, you discuss with the prime minister. I'm not there for window dressing exercise. I don't play to the gallery.
Voilà, Maître Alex, le 17 août 2022, l'Office national des infrastructures et équipements sportifs a été créé par décret présidentiel. Que va-t-il apporter justement?
Yeah, I talked about this yesterday. My point is, when I say the government is putting the cart before the horse, when you're constructing a stadium, you should create that office first before you create the stadium. You don't wait when things are going wrong. The government is always reactive. If we have a government who will be proactive, you have to envisage a problem in advance. When something happens, the government reacts. When there's a teacher problem, instead of the government to say, oh, there's a problem, let me solve it, the government will, when they are protesting, they react. When the lawyer said this, instead of the government to they react. Anglophone problem, they react. That problem, there's problem. If there's a problem for the stadium, if there's a problem for lawyers, you should see it in advance and solve the problem. Unfortunately, the government is not proactive. We need a proactive government. We don't need a reactive government.
D'accord, c'est compris. Maintenant, que va-t-il apporter cet office national des infrastructures et équipements sportifs au Cameroun? Vous savez, le gouvernement a fait un gros investissement sur les infrastructures, sur le plan des stades, sur les routes. Maintenant, le problème, ce n'est pas de créer, mais aussi c'est l'entretien. Que va-t-il donc apporter concrètement cet office?
To be honest,
oui.
We had a constitution in Cameroon. The constitution of Cameroon says we should promote our ethnicity and bilingualism. It is there. Mr. B have created commission for bilingualism or what? It's just wasting taxpayers' money. I'm just saying, that committee that Mr. Bia or whatever organization they have created, it's a waste of time.
No, but it's under the umbrella of the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education.
Mr. Lasha, whether it's under the umbrella of Mr. Lasha, it's a waste of time. I'm the one telling you. When you see you have a governor in Cameroon, you went and create a decentralization, regional representative, then there is a governor, there is a GO. So why are you creating those things? Why are you confusing people? I don't know whether the government just want to give jobs for everybody.
Maitre
Alex, is a waste of time.
Maitre Alex, on a vu dans les réseaux sociaux un stade de Bafoussam à Quentin où les toilettes rentraient déjà en état de décrépitude, hein, avec le délaissement. Peut-être il a fallu qu'on crée cet office pour prendre en charge ces infrastructures dans le cadre de leur gestion, dans le cadre de leur entretien et dans le cadre de leur exploitation. Est-ce que vous ne trouvez pas ça normal?
When I was in Wakele, we had a very nice library. It's a Western type of library. There was no window, there was climatizer, all those things there. We don't need those type of window in Africa. Listen, if people don't have the mentality, they don't know how to use something. Instead of building those type of toilets, we should have pit toilets. That's what they need, pit toilet. Until they elevate themselves to reach that level, that they know how to manage something. What they need at the moment is pit toilet, because they are putting a gold ring on a pig's nose. We just copy things and take them and put it in our own country when we are not able to maintain it. We should start with what we can maintain, local things that we can maintain. Yes, I wouldn't like pit toilet, but if you can put a modern toilet that you can use and people cannot maintain it, it means people want to use pit toilet. You have to go by stages. They have to climb. When they reach that stage that they can maintain something, like the modern toilet, that's when they should have.
So how will Cameroon develop or advance? Are you saying that we should remain backward because people don't want to move with the changing times?
How will Cameroon develop? I know what Thomas Sankara was doing. He used to go in front in primary school. La corruption, Abba. You need people who can go. who don't hide in a 2D, people who come and inspire people and tell them what to do. Thomas Sankara was doing that, inspiring people, and that's why he was knocked down. I'm not saying, what's the essence, Mr. Lasha? You have a car that you cannot maintain. What's the essence? You build a house that you cannot maintain. I'm just saying that cut your coat according to your size. Yes, there are some Cameroonians who can maintain those standards, but only those who can maintain those standards should be able to have such standards. You saw what happened. Elevator in a shopping mall in Douala. You see, we are not ready to have these things. Maybe when I was a child, we were ready, we were better. But the mentality have changed us. The government of Mr. Biya have reduced us to believe that we are beggar. Our morals so low that we don't understand that we are still Homo sapien. So they have to give us that uplift. They have to inspire us and bring us back to believe that we are human beings once more.
Okay, Maitre. Maybe one last question from Etape before we go.
Voilà, on reste toujours en économie. Voilà, la BEAC, la PCA demande l'audit du processus de recrutement des agents d'encadrement supérieur. Comment comprendre? Qu'est-ce qui pourrait déclencher cette envie de l'audit?
You say what BIAC is doing? Are you talking about them trying to merge BIAC with another organization? I don't know it well.
No, recruitment process at the level of BIAC and
la
the board chair and the general manager, they are at loggerhead.
Mr. Lasha, we have seen that everywhere. I've forgotten another person again who gave his own list. I cannot recall that. That's a normal.
At the level of BIAC Central Bank, we are talking about the Central Bank.
La BIAC, la Banque
I'm just
des
saying,
États.
there is no procedure in Cameroon. We know in Cameroon.
No, but this has to do with a block of countries, not Cameroon. It has got nothing to do with Cameroon now, mate.
Listen, come on. When people, they say like birds flock together. When you see Gabon, when you see Congo, or all those countries in the BIAC zone, they're the same like Cameroon. Sassou Nguesso, the same president, all of them, father replacing son. So don't say it's a different country. No, they are the same people. That's why they are coming together. They sit there, that's what they do, nepotism. They are the same people. There's no difference between Congo, Brazzaville, and Cameroon or Gabon. They are the same people. They do the same thing. Nepotism, France CFA, controlled by France, taking order. Mr. Macron is the de facto president, or it's the same thing. They are the same people. It's despair. And at the end of the day, the time has come that I'll be blaming people like you, Mr. Lasha, Mr. Etape, because you people don't want to move forward and take over. You're comfortable to where you're seated. You believe you cannot move forward. You're more intelligent, most of you, than when Aijo was president or prime minister in 1950-something, or Pamuna, Pafoncha, Actually, they were young, and now we have more information. Most of you are more intelligent, more exposed now, but you don't want to move forward. You don't want to be where you want to be. We should aspire to be in the right position. We say, oh, young people, they don't give them chance. I don't see how many young people want to take their chances. I don't see that.
But when you look at the breed of some young people, Maitre, like, don't you think that Mr. Biya is right, after all, to want to stay in power, because he thinks that the youths are not ready? When you see the kind of utterances like what Kedia came and said in a platform when we're talking important issues.
A president of a country reflects the people. If Mr. Biya was the president in an Arab country, I believe he wouldn't have been there. If Mr. Biya was president in the UK, he wouldn't have still been president. If Mr. Biya was president in Nigeria, he wouldn't have still been president. Mr. Biya is there because Cameroonians don't care. They say patriotism, they don't care. They are just happy with their mud road, their poto, their rubbish, their garbage, no hospital. You see somebody who will be sick and come abroad, you go to the airport, you clap for him. So they are happy with those things. So God have given you a president that serves you as you want to stay in that country. Until people reason that politics is not about hatred. Politics is saying that, look, we have had enough. We have the resources. We have everything. We need technology. Dubai took under 50 years to become Dubai. We have been there for more than 60 years. We have gone backwards.
Thank you, Maitre Alex. Thank you too. I do have a great weekend, Maitre Alex, and a great weekend to our producer and the team. And of course, the program today was produced by Christain, Tebong. We were Etape, Quentin, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. Bye-bye.
My Media Prime TV, the African Eye.